Good day, friends. Welcome to another Word of Gord. Today it's a spirit contact. It's a spirit contact with Gore Vidal. And he'd like to make an entrance. And here he comes. I've been interviewed many times. Many times. But this is perhaps the strangest of all. I'm seeming to be close or in someone else's body, someone I'm told who is a medium, and he is feeling my thoughts and expressing them rather clumsily, not with the greatest of accuracy, but it's acceptable. We've practiced before, and I have learned to accept the limitations of the format. We do not as yet have cameras and recording equipment that will accurately portray the life of a non-physical being. The persons you would think of as ghosts. We are real and three-dimensional and mobile, but not to you. And not to me either. When I was one of you on Earth, I hardly believed in the reality of other lives, other worlds. I took an interest from time to time, but I never was convinced. Even in my young manhood, when I lost my great love. I used to think that it was foolishness to believe in that afterlife of the personality, that it was a mere swab to the wounds of the psyche, that it was better to confront the reality of mortality and not to play wishful religiosity. But now I know that that person with whom I shared a great, intense communication on all levels when we were young men, did try to communicate with me and was very frustrated in that I would not listen or would not hear. And as I have learned from being with him and others here, that can be a very annoying and frustrating experience for those who wish to communicate, wish to reassure, wish to give solace to us who are so busy with our denial of pain and pursuit of pleasure and earthly glory that we cannot or will not hear. So perhaps if you have someone or someones whom you love and miss, try not to deny them the fulfillment of at least partial communication. I now know that they, i.e. me and the people in this world, can feel if you are open and responding to our words and thoughts and love. And I know as I say this, you will perhaps be as I was, completely unwilling to accept this and think it mere sentimental silliness and wish to get on with your lives as they lie before you. So, if you reject this, I understand, because I did. And I cannot expect others to be any less foolish than I was. I greet all of my colleagues, friends, and loved ones still on earth. Some of you have already made the leap to here, and I am aware of the ones who have. But for those of you still there, a fond hello, a very fond hello. I realize now I was, despite being creative, charismatic, and a somewhat greater than average analytical intelligence, I had my faults. And many of you had to put up with them. And for that patience and tolerance, I am grateful. One has plenty of time in this world to think over one's past and see one's faults, one's glaring faults, and how one perhaps did not deal with them as well as one might have. So thus, here I am in full apology mode. And I trust that you understand, whether you accept or not. I watch the events in your world, or some of them, with almost as much interest as I did when alive. The military-industrial war machine complex, in its lust for victorious activity and the protection of mercantile interests abroad, continues its despicable activities. As an elder statesman of the culture, I commented on this many times, most forcefully, and I would not draw back from any of that. It looks, if anything, even worse now, because with the wider vision that one can attain here, one can see how pointless it all is and how much more fulfilling and fruitful and delightful life could be if we were to step beyond that furious, destructive activity that seems to obsess the world more and more. The state actors and the vultures that hover above them, encouraging, chastising, tricking, manipulating. It's a sorry sight. It was there and it is now. I applaud the efforts of those of you who try to organize and oppose this dastardly foolishness on the part of some of your leaders and your 1% elite. Whether you will be successful or not, I do not know. But I praise your efforts. God bless you for trying. I have had time to look over with guidance, I might add. I did not know that one could do this. I did not suspect that one could do this, that one could look back to ancient Rome, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, and see the roles that another version of the I played. It is humbling, and it is shocking to see the same games played out over and over again in different guises. The same manipulative ego games in order to impress one and dispose of another. The same lust for power and influence and status, disguised perhaps as serving one's country, one's people. I can only say that I did try, or the I that existed then, I did try to make life better for those around me. When one has legislative and economic powers, levers at one's hand, one does lead a charmed life, but one also tries in the midst of those charms to make things a little better for all. Although that in itself is an effort mired in difficulties, because not everyone feels the same way. Not everyone feels that the citizenry should benefit. Look around you now and see the forces which do not wish the citizenry to benefit. These beings, these humans, these souls, they have lessons to learn, as we all do. I can see that now ever so clearly. I can see the soul inside the personality, the personalities that become celebrities, as I did. Masks behind which the real psyche exists. Masks which play out dramas and comedies and tragedies. Masks which envelop entire nations and become the force with which they enter and interact in the world. They're all masks. I've partially taken off my mask now that I'm here, and I've also lost a lot of weight. My, it's nice to be slim again, I must tell you. Get into all those old clothes. Oh, it's lovely stuff. The mask. I have removed some of it, but I sense lots of it is still there. You keep taking layers of the onion off and are surprised that there is still more and more beneath. This can be a very earthly paradise, at least the one in which I live. I am told there are counterparts to every country and landscape on the planet here in this spirit world. I have settled once again in Italy, at least the spirit version of Italy, with which I was very comfortable before, as many of you will know. And the wine and the food are perhaps even more delightful and satisfying than they were in the physical version of Italy. Life here is wonderful. And I have traveled, as one can do so easily here, traveling by thought, moving from place to place. I have certainly visited many parts of the United States where many friends live. And boy, it's a lot easier than getting on a plane. Let me tell you. You'll be wondering how much like the spirit versions of countries are to their physical versions. Well, in my experience, very similar. There are some changes, there are some advances, there are less fears and anxieties, but the national character, such as it is stamped upon the beings who live here. Italians still talk very much like Italians and live very much in an Italian fashion. Although I would hasten to add that Milan and Naples are as different here as they were there, as is Los Angeles and small town in Vermont. I am told that there are other worlds where national characteristics are much less emphasized, in fact, hardly there at all. But I have yet to visit such places, but I am told that they are there. There are many people around who will give you advice if you ask. They will suggest things that you might find quite preposterous and will say, well, that's fine. You can get to that later. As it is, I'm renewing old acquaintances, and loads of the Kennedys are here, for example, as perhaps you know. We have reunited in friendship and are busily enjoying our lives. And as souls who were involved in the paths their countries were taking, are still greatly interested in those paths. We follow events with peculiar intensity. Some may try to influence, I do not. I do not hang around the White House trying to make people do things. I don't hang around anywhere trying to make people do things. I'm quite happy to observe. And as someone who lived in a society and class where I could, at certain times, pick up the phone and influence certain levels of decision making, This was something I had to learn to relinquish. Some find this difficult. I did not. The turmoil of your current geopolitical chaos is certainly a matter of concern for us all, and everyone has an opinion on what should be done. And I will hold back from giving any of those opinions, as I'm not sure that it will do any good at all. I hand over symbolically the power, as if I ever had much, to those who try and accomplish now. Many agendas are conflicting and will continue to do so. But as you can see from certain events, for example, and I just give this as one example, the agreement between major nations and Iran over their nuclear policy. This gives hope for the future. To mention but one issue, I realize there are many others. So do not give in to complete despair, although I think a fair measure of it's, healthy. But always know that things can change. Things can change for the better. And if you cannot believe in that, believe in the fact that a wonderful paradise awaits you on your return. I know because I am here. I feel that this is enough for now. And I give thanks to the medium who is voicing at least some of my thoughts, if not all of them. And I recognize that this method of information distribution is, not applauded by all. But it is part of our future, your future, everyone's future. If I told you how we communicated here, I don't even know if you would believe me. Mostly it's telepathy. Not always, but a lot. Anyway, enough for now. Thank you for listening to this old guy, now renewed. I think I missed my farewell there. That was my impression of Gore Vidal. And he's been knocking at the door for a few days now. And I had been thinking about him off and on. And today seemed to be the right day to do it. There are plenty of others that have been suggested to me, those who have passed in the last month or two. And I try to connect with those I feel an existing mental or emotional connection with. And I felt a strong connection with Gore Vidal in his later years. His creativity in the 50s and 60s and 70s, all of which I know about now, was something I was not familiar with. His late in life political essays I was very familiar with and applauded greatly. And then became aware of what a cultural influence he was in North America, I guess, particularly, and felt that he, for a number of reasons, would have an interesting message to give forth. So, thank you all for listening, although I believe that's been said already. And WordofGord signing off for now.